is scheduled for one fall.
Welcome to Primetime Pandemonium, brought to you by Virginia Championship Wrestling. We're coming to you from the Volleyball Center at Old Dominion University. We're thrilled to be here for the second of two events in one day. I am James Heat. I will be your host for this evening, and we are getting started with a qualifying match for later tonight's U.S. Liberty title four-way. In that match, we already know it will be Devantes, the new champion, defending against Breaux, Keller, Vandu, and the winner of this match, Logan Easton Laroux, a former Virginia heavyweight champion, comes into this match on an unprecedented for him three-match losing streak. Alex Divine enters this match riding a wave of momentum. You see the crowd leaping to their feet, wanting to give that man a high five, supporting him. Alex Divine has captured the hearts of VCW in a very short period of time with standout wins over competitors like Brandon Scott, who we will see in our main event later this evening. Logan Easton Laroux stalking Alex Divine. And Logan may be all smiles right now, but as mentioned before, he is coming in with, for him, an unprecedented three-match losing streak. First, losing the Virginia Heavyweight Championship to the Boar, and then later, losing to Christopher Daniels, AEW. Logan has seemingly prepared a gift for the VCW faithful. They may be booing, but he is a meticulously sculpted man, representing his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club. An inordinately accomplished pro wrestler, also studies in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Logan Easton Laroux is a consummate professional, one of the, if not maybe the single best wrestler of this region for the last 5 years. And since losing that title, that heavyweight championship to the Boar, he also lost a fall to Christopher Daniels, the AEW Ring of Honor star, Independent Wrestling Hall of Famer. And then earlier today, probably the biggest upset, Logan Easton Laroux lost to Breaux Keller. Logan Easton Laroux cannot afford to look past Alex Divine, the heaven-sent kid, nicknamed because, as I'm sure we will see, Alex Divine has an aerial ability that is unmatched currently on the roster. And if Logan Easton Laroux thinks he can look past Alex Divine, this is going to be an easy win. Logan may be sorely mistaken and disappointed, but on paper, Alex Divine is overmatched. Alex Divine has been impressing, but has yet to be in a main event spot here in VCW. Logan Easton Laroux is very used to the bright lights, has gone against some of the best in the country. We've seen him take on Jay Lethal, Christopher Daniels. He's defeated men up and down our roster since returning to VCW several months ago. At this point, over a year. Having claimed his title as one of the top independent wrestlers in the region, up and down the West Coast. known as the Coastal Elite, the venture grapplist, the prince of the privileged, and of course the champion of the 1%. Logan Easton Laroux represents privilege and entitlement personified, and Alex Divine just countered Logan Easton Laroux. Alex is a young competitor, both in experience and age, only a few years into his professional career and already holding his own as one of the most accomplished men on the roster. Logan looked to be trying to turn that leg lock into a hitting predicament, but Alex Divine consistently able to keep his shoulders above the mat, now kipping out. Is Logan toying with Alex, or does Logan think that he is toying with Alex? Logan has been wrestling recently with a much more enhanced sense of urgency than seen in this contest. And you could ask yourself, is that because Logan is taking a step back, realizing that perhaps his emotions have gotten the better of him in a number of these contests, and maybe that has cost him coming in hot, coming in immediately, lighting a fuse under people like the Boar of Breaux Keller, as Alex Divine has trapped and entangled Logan Easton Laroux. He has completely flummoxed him, and only two, but Alex Divine did such a fantastic job shifting his body into position, blocking Logan from the ropes so he couldn't get a rope break. And now Alex Divine flying like a bullet train through the ropes. It's not a bird, it's not a plane. It's the heaven-sent kid looking to enter the United States Liberty title four-way later this evening. And whoever wins this match, Logan Easton Laroux just threw the referee at Alex Divine. And this is that aggression. This is that viciousness that we have seen out of Logan Easton Laroux. It's like a switch gets flipped, and this arrogant, smiling, almost pretty boy turns into American Psycho. Just a sadistic, vengeful. You imagine that Logan Easton Laroux used to pick the wings off of flies for fun. Not for science, not because he didn't know better, for pure joy. Now he's looking to pick the wings, figuratively, off of Alex Divine. Looking to injure and incapacitate that lower back. If you've ever experienced a lower back injury, you know it affects every single part of the body. So much of Alex Divine's offense requires his ability to balance, his ability to support himself with his core strength. A small miscalculation at any time on the ropes, because Alex Divine does favor the use of springboard offense, running offense. Doesn't he have to be Logan at that point? Floating over, immediately it's the cover, and Logan gets two and jams an elbow right into the small of the back. In the kick out, Alex Divine gave that body part to Logan Easton Laroux, and Logan immediately took advantage. There is not a moment in this match that Alex Divine will not have to be on guard. Whatever feeling out process there was is over, and Logan is looking to pick this man apart. Logan Easton Laroux does not feel home, perhaps ever, but certainly without gold around his waist. And if he cannot get a shot immediately at the Virginia Heavyweight Champion, he will become U.S. Liberty Champion. Right now, you see, for two, the way that he digs his forearm across the chin, bone-on-bone contact in that cover. That's effective. It's not necessary. It's not sportsmanlike. And now following it up with that elbow right across the chin of Alex Divine, lifting up into that backbreaker. We're seeing Logan Easton Laroux meticulously take apart this back into the backbreaker. And it is only the incredible flexibility of Alex Divine that is keeping him safe at this point. This match could end at any moment. The amount of damage that Alex has taken, and somehow Alex able to land on his feet and turn Logan around. But even in this moment of success, Alex Divine is clutching that injured back or hurt back. That's the difference. Wrestlers work hurt all the time. They have to handle that pain, but it's injury. It is injury that will keep someone on the shelf. And it looks like Logan Easton Laroux may be out not just to win, but to injure Alex Divine, kicking him out onto the floor. There's only the thinnest gesture of padding on this ground. This padding is to protect the floor, not the competitors. Alex Divine took that shot with everything that this building has to offer. And it is meant to be played hard on. Unique cover, full body press by Logan Easton Laroux, who wants to be able to go on not only to win the U.S. Liberty Championship, but also to maybe, perhaps, revenge a loss towards Breaux Keller from earlier today. Breaux Keller, Jockzilla, all energy is already in that match. Can Logan Easton Laroux defeat Alex Divine and redress that wrong all in the span of a 24-hour period? Either of these men, whoever wins, and it certainly would be more and more likely that that is going to be Logan Easton Laroux. Oh! And Alex Divine refusing to succumb to the pain. The adrenaline is coursing through Alex's veins. He's got that brief moment of turbocharge where his body and his brain are not quite synced. And we've seen now, Logan Easton Laroux did exactly what he needed to do. He incapacitated Alex Divine's back to the point that Alex could not stay on the ropes. Logan is a master of the human game of chess. He is always 2, 3, maybe 4 moves ahead of the game. And as soon as Alex slipped, Logan was there, going for that Cobra Clutch. Now, Alex able to land. But how can Alex trust himself going forward? Logan grabbing Alex by the hair and now dumping him to the outside, forcing Alex to rely on an arsenal that may not be reliable anymore. Alex is going for it a second time. This time the drop kick connects. You have to have faith in yourself. You fall, you get up, you try again. This is what brought Alex to the dance. And one of these two men are going to wrestle 3 times in one day. It could be Alex Divine. He almost punched his ticket right there. But either one, both of them had matches earlier this afternoon. They will be at a deficit in that 4-way no matter what. Because they will be the only men to wrestle 3 matches in one day. It is a blessing and a curse, as there is no water in the pool. And in addition to the back injury, it certainly looks like Alex Divine may have just hurt his knee. Gentrification! The gentrification cutter. And Logan Easton Laroux will be moving on into the United States. No, he isn't. Something is off with Logan Easton Laroux. And now hammering the side, hammering the back with elbows and knees. It has been an evolution of Logan Easton Laroux's style to see this viciousness. These hammer and tong strikes. And now looking to turn it into a lion tamer. You can see the knee fits perfectly into the crook of the back. You'll also note the human body is not meant to bend that way. And Alex has caught Logan Easton Laroux in a cradle, and he did it! Oh my goodness! Logan Easton Laroux looks like he just saw a ghost. And that ghost is him as a champion. 4 losses in a row for Logan Easton Laroux. This is by far, no hyperbole, the biggest win of Alex Divine's career. And there's no time to celebrate, there's no time to enjoy it, because he has to immediately go prepare for a 4-way where he has to try and defeat and outlast DJ Vandu, Devantes, and Breaux Keller. But the man left in the ring has a lot to have to reckon with, because Logan Easton Laroux is unraveling. And the more he tries to hold on, the more he tries to push, the more it seems like Logan Easton Laroux is slipping through his own fingers. And if Logan Easton Laroux cannot turn it around, I wonder how much longer we will see Logan Easton Laroux in a VCW or even a wrestling ring again. Primetime Pandemonium with Virginia Championship Wrestling continues. I remain your host, Jason Heat. And Saul Esparza, one of the newest members of the VCW roster, who has immediately made waves. He was brought in by the Director of Operations, Stephanitsis, as part of the Young Lions Challenge, but was immediately scouted and handpicked by that man, Sharkey, the manager of champions, and apparently now Saul Esparza's best friend, and I'm very specifically using air quotes. And this investment has paid dividends, because in a very short time, Saul has established himself a very permanent place on the roster. Earlier today, he wrestled in a 6-man tag. It was Saul, his fellow Sharkey tank member Devantes, and Brandon Scott against the Boar, Dirty Money, and Alex Divine. But it's fair to say that Saul Esparza was the MVP of that match. The Blue. And while Saul Esparza may have been the MVP of the 6-man tag, and his team did win, he may have been the glue that held that team together. But Dirty Money, well, you could say he is the MVP of Virginia wrestling over the last decade, 2 decades. The glue that holds VCW together through years, through ups and downs. A man who has done literally almost everything there is to do in VCW, a first-round Hall of Famer for sure, a veteran who wrestled just as impressively and just as athletically now as he did when he started, but with all of the experience and knowledge that you gain through years of ring wars. Sometimes we said, Saul Esparza not giving Dirty Money any time. And are we starting? This match has started, and Saul Esparza immediately and quite literally has Dirty Money on the ropes, and he's grabbed Dirty Money's bling and glasses. This kid is a goon. This kid's a thief, and Dirty Money has no time for it. That one shot, and Saul Esparza looks to be crying. Real, true tears. His chest being sliced like the best quality deli meat. Good God. We are in the volleyball center. They heard that in the pool. They heard that in the theater. They heard that all across campus. Somewhere, someone's outside going, why is there thunder? It's completely clear outside. That was dirty money on the chest of Saul Esparza. And you feel Sharkey knows what's good for him. He's gonna stay the heck away from dirty money. There is absolutely no love lost between those two men. And Saul Esparza is absolutely an impressive professional wrestler, but he is not gonna be able to match chop for chop with dirty money. It doesn't seem like it. And he knows it. Going for the eyes, raking the face, immediately rolling in to break the count. Saul Esparza is wise beyond his years, and in part because he has the tutelage of someone like Neil Sharkey. Sharkey has studied every single dirty, low-down, doggone, no-good trick that there is in professional wrestling, and he is passing them down to Saul Esparza. And to his credit, Esparza is a sponge, learning every despicable action you can take in a professional wrestling contest and not get disqualified. And a few that will get you disqualified, but how to do it behind the referee's back. And I'm not sure that the camera does the sound of Dirty Money strikes justice. They are heart-stopping. It truly sounds like God is playing the drums on Saul Esparza every time Dirty Money, oh no. I am not sure personally if Dirty Money has kids or not, but Saul Esparza seems very, very, very determined to make sure he never will again. And instead, Saul Esparza's skull just meant steel. Usually I would say the human body, when it goes against steel, it's always gonna lose, but Saul Esparza has a thick head. A referee checking it out, and it is possible. Humor aside, Saul Esparza could have been knocked loopy. The referee could always present. Neil Sharkey is trying to air Saul Esparza back to life with a tot. Like a Men's Warehouse special. He thinks that's gonna revive him. Doesn't seem to be working. And Dirty Money looking to put Saul Esparza away. You cannot question the resilience of Saul Esparza. He has been taking a beating. He's earned that beating. Saul Esparza started this contest off by attacking Dirty Money before the bell, ripping off his necklace and his glasses and wearing them like some kind of cosplay. They might say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but in this case, it was just insulting. And Esparza barely able to land. His leg is hurt. Not able to maintain that balance. Gonna have to rely on that base straight. And Esparza can't keep that knee going. That right knee seems to be giving out on Esparza, and this could be a very serious situation. Unfortunately, we've seen injuries in the ring here before. We've seen Phil Brown suffer a devastating back injury that took him out of the three-way match. Oh, and now Neil Sharkey, Saul's up! This was a plot. And now he's back. I mean, Saul Esparza, if he stops being a professional wrestler, someone nominate him for a Tony, a Golden Globe, an Oscar. He's showing off his acting chops right now. Not even one. Dirty Money is fueled by frustration right now. Saul Esparza is so unlikable, he will work through the pain to get at it. Like even when you're just laying on the ground going, I wish this was over, you see Saul Esparza's face and you go, no, I gotta hit that. It's a very hittable face. Dirty Money has the opportunity and the privilege. But Saul Esparza just taking it to Dirty Money. This kid has everything. All the potential in the world. 22 years old, and he is matching moment for moment with a man whose career is probably older than Saul Esparza has been on this earth. And now biting into and just underneath that mohawk. He's a sick guy. Esparza is smiling. He likes it. He likes it. Sometimes you do the worst thing you have to do because you're so desperate for a win, and Esparza does it because he gets a thrill. He's a sick puppy, and Neil Sharkey's got him in his grasp. Looking to pick and does hurl Dirty Money into those cables. We call them ropes because colloquially that's what they go by, but that is aircraft grade steel cable covered in a coating. And the injury that Saul Esparza was faking, it certainly looks like he is really giving that to Dirty Money. And while Dirty Money is in fantastic shape, as you get older, the body does start to break down. You have to be careful, work smarter and not harder. And Saul Esparza is pushing Dirty Money to the absolute limit. It might be that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Just drinking in the booze, and that momentary moment of joy may be followed by great disappointment as Dirty Money bombs Saul Esparza right back into this match. Esparza is hurt, Dirty Money is hurt. Both these men will not walk away unscathed. The two of them were fighting earlier today in a six-man tag. This is the second match of the day for both of them. Almost looked like Dirty Money was gonna go for that money clip spine buster, but instead dropping the dime right between the eyes of Saul Esparza. Here we see that soul button combination. This is gonna be that blue thunder bomb. Second power bomb to Saul Esparza, and Esparza, with literal half a moment to spare, manages to get that shoulder up. Dirty Money has fought the best in professional wrestling. That's not overstating it. He has been around. He's been at a high level. Some of the absolute best in the world have come through this region, and Dirty Money has fought them all. And Saul Esparza is proving to be as tough a challenger, as tough an opponent as anyone that Dirty Money has gone up against. Because no matter what Dirty Money does, Saul keeps getting up. He's a despicable, unlikable worm of a human being, but he gets up. Needs to work on the chop game, though. If there's one note to get, he just pulled Dirty Money's mohawk. Saul Esparza may have a death wish. He may not want to be around much longer. He keeps treating Dirty Money like that, he's not going to be. At some point, Dirty Money's not afraid. It'll stop being a wrestling match. It'll start being a fight. And I wonder if Esparza is hoping that the more he riles Money up, the more he gets under his skin, the more he can lure him into some sort of mistake. And it seems like the octopus is applied. The submission is on. He just was never able to fully lock it into place. Now just dumping Esparza on his head. Money clip! Money clip to Saul Esparza. Doesn't just stack him up. He's grabbing him and sitting back. It's deep. The Boston Crab is deep. And Devantes! Devantes is in. Devantes is attacking Dirty Money. And that is clearly a disqualification. That is not how Dirty Money wanted to win this match. As if Devantes does not have enough to worry about later this afternoon, this evening. He's got a four-way with Alex Devine and Breaux Keller and DK Vandu. And he still has time to come in and play bodyguard. Don't. Why are they lifting Saul Esparza's hands? All three of these men understand how pro wrestling works. They understand the rules. They knew exactly what they were doing. And lying on the ground, broken, beaten, battered, and bruised, is your winner. This is entirely what they call a moral victory, in part because that's the phrase, and in part because between Neil Sharkey, Saul Esparza, and Devantes, there's not a moral between them. So of course, Dirty Money has the moral victory. We'll be seeing Devantes in action later as we see if Dirty Money needs medical attention. We're gonna check in on him, and then Primetime Pandemonium will continue.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, he is a creative genius. He is a hero of millions. In fact, he is the greatest director of operations in the history of professional wrestling. All of you, in what's the VCW Director of Operations, Mr. Stephanitsis.
Primetime Pandemonium continues. This may not be much of a match, but it is sure to be a spectacle. As my boss, everyone who works here's boss, the Director of Operations, Jerry Stephanitsis, is in the ring. Your television screen, your computer screen does not lie. He is preparing for a match against Benjamin Banks. This could be the last time that we see Jerry Stephanitsis in a ring or ever, given the lengths to which the Director of Operations has gone to make Benjamin Banks and his life and the life of his partner, Diamond Victor Griff, a living hell. If you have any. This moment has been 2 years in the making. It was an entire year that Jerry Stephanitsis and his, I don't know what's going on, but Benjamin Banks is walking to the ring alone. And Diamond Victor Griff is nowhere with him. They are the co-holders of the tag team champions. And Victor Griff, his signature headgear is here, but Victor Griff is not. And the reason I was about to say that Jerry Stephanitsis' stooge, God, I knew he was gonna listen to this and I'm gonna be in so much trouble. But his stooge, the reason, and Jerry Stephanitsis spent an entire year trying to keep Benjamin Banks and Victor Griff from becoming tag champions, and now they've been attacking them as tag champions, bringing in hired guns. Griff and Benjamin had to win a tag team match earlier today just to get this 5 minutes. And before this has even started, the reason is absolutely destroying Benjamin Banks. I don't know if it's a setup or desperation, but it's absolute horse hockey. And the reason a former tag team champion taking it to Benjamin Banks, knocking Banks unconscious. We were supposed to see Benjamin Banks get 5 minutes with Jerry Stephanitsis. There was supposed to be some sort of justice. And that was too much to hope for. That was too much to believe in. It's just another setup by the Reason and the Director of Operations. And no one in this company plays games the way they do. I, to this day, do not understand why it is so imperative for these two men, Stephanitsis and the Reason, to absolutely ruin the lives of Benjamin Banks and Victor Benjamin. Jerry Stephanitsis calling for the referee to enter the ring. This is a farce, by the way. This is an absolute joke. It's disgusting. Benjamin Banks is barely conscious, if at all. This is one of the most despicable things we've ever seen here in VCW. And even after being beaten down, Jerry Stephanitsis still gently taps Benjamin Banks. Now he's all afire. He's all fun and games because the Director of Operations, now that a man is completely unconscious, the Reason need Benjamin Banks, his skull into those steel stairs. This is pathetic. This is a man's midlife crisis playing out in front of us, and everyone was forced to pay tickets, pitting him with a pinky. Golden Pinky Society. Get it? Get it? It's clever. It's funny. It's ridiculous. And Benjamin Banks, in the record books, just lost to Jerry Stephanitsis. They went through Miles Hawkins and Big AC just for this. Banks is extremely injured. We have no idea where Victor Griff is. Clearly he is, I hope he's being taken care of. And I don't mean the way he's already been taken care of. He's clearly been taken care of. Someone get some help. Someone get some help for Benjamin Banks. And someone get the Reason out of here. This is just, I'm done calling this. I'm done. So, Jerry Stephanitsis beat Benjamin Banks as well. Record books. Who are absolutely drunk on power. It's really awful. It's awful. It's vindictive and it's spiteful. And there we see Victor Griff crawling from the back. We can only speculate on exactly what happened to Victor Griff earlier. What is wrong with these two? They're grown men. All of this stems from the fact that at one point in time, Benjamin Banks said, I don't want to be managed by you, Jerry Stephanitsis, anymore. I want to grow a spine and be a real human being, be a person with some honors and class. Stephanitsis and Reason already destroyed Victor Griff and Benjamin Banks. And will someone stand up to this? I understand he's the boss. And the two of them just walking away as the Reason orders our sound technician to play his music. What is wrong with you? Awful.
next contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, from Puerto Greece, weighing in at 220 pounds, the Greek god, Papadon.
Primetime Pandemonium, Virginia Championship Wrestling. I'm your host, Jason Heat, as the Greek god Papadon will be in action against Phil Brown in a match made earlier today. There is nothing that Papadon loves more than ordering our support staff around. That's not true. There was a lie, an error, an omission in what I just said. Papadon absolutely loves ordering our staff around. I have personally been the victim of him laying his hands on me during my time as a backstage interview. What he loves more than anything is hearing the sound of his own voice, as we are about to find out. Being ordered to re-announce Papadon.
Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest wrestler alive today, the Greek god,
Papadon was the U.S. Liberty champion for much of the county.
I said silence! And now introducing his opponents. Weighing in at 270 pounds, the platinum icon,
Phil Brown is an institution. Phil Brown is a pillar of VCW. It was earlier today at Matinee Mayhem that Papadon held his first Trials of Olympus Open Challenge. He put it out to the entire locker room that anyone who wanted a piece of Papadon could take on the Greek god in combat. And he was met with the surprise return of Irvin Legend. Now, Irvin Legend has been a controversial figure in the locker room. Legend is someone who's not made a lot of friends. Very anti-social man. Rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And shot himself in the foot in his career. And part of that is the fact that he caught the eye of Phil Brown a long time ago. Phil Brown has tried to mentor Irvin Legend. Legend's always turned him down. But earlier today, after Papadon defeated Irvin Legend, it didn't end there. Papadon began beating Legend. And the assumption was that no one would come out to help because Legend has no friends or allies in a business that is all about yourself. Irvin Legend is even more a lone wolf than usual, but Phil Brown came out and put a stop to it, in part because Phil Brown is a man with a very, very strong moral code. If there is anyone in the locker room who is the first to try and stamp out any kind of injustice, or to look out for the little guy, to stand up to the office, the other talent, well, it's Phil Brown. He has that veteran status. He has that confidence. He's able to do that. But also, what you see in Urban Legend is speculation, a lost soul that he can help mold. And this was an opportunity to do something about it. He offered his hand to Urban Legend, and Legend did not take it. And in the aftermath, Phil Brown, who did not have a match scheduled for this evening, nor did Papadon, well, the challenge was made and accepted. Now it is Phil Brown going up against Papadon. We've seen these two many times before. They are old enemies. They know each other very well. Not expecting them to be a feeling out process. The last time that we did see these two in the ring together was a triple threat with Dirty Money. It was for the U.S. Liberty Championship. And mid-match, Phil Brown's back completely gave out. It seized. He tried to fight through it. At one point walked to the back. Was convinced to return to the ring by Dirty Money. And then it completely lost function. And Phil Brown had to forfeit that match, leaving it to Papadon versus Dirty Money. That was only a few months ago. We have seen Phil Brown in action since then, but can it happen again? It's not a question of if Phil Brown is 100%. He's not. It's what percent is he at. How much worse will it get over the course of this match, and to what extent can and will Papadon take advantage? You know, Papadon is very aware, very mind games. Papadon likes to make opponents wait. They get hyped. He just spat. Papadon spat at Phil Brown. And Phil Brown, he's a calm guy. He's got a lot of composure. He's got a cool head, but there's only so far you can go. Phil Brown has been watching Papadon wrestle for a long time. Knows a lot of his tricks. Phil's got real confidence, real status that comes from being built like a truck. The ability to manhandle literally anyone you come into contact with. Well, Papadon trying to call a timeout, and unfortunately in the professional wrestling rulebook there are a lot of rules, but there's not an official timeout. With that said, Papadon is in the ropes, and technically you are not allowed to attack an opponent that is downed in the ropes for 5 seconds. Papadon does have 10 seconds to get back in the ring. Phil Brown has no time for any of that. And Papadon caught himself at the same time as pulling down Brown. And Brown's got the guard up, doing a great job of blocking some of those shots, but a few of them got through. And Papadon has been making a name for himself in independent wrestling a long time. When I was coming up, Papadon was someone that I heard about for years. These two men have fought in wars, and they're the survivors. That's the thing, professional wrestling is a war of attrition. So many people enter this industry and do not make it. They don't make it through training. They don't make it through their first match. Papadon there with wrist control applied to that cover. And even from a down position, Phil Brown grabbing that slap. You gotta protect yourself. You gotta defend yourself when you are against someone like Phil Brown or someone like Papadon. Papadon now, yet again, wrist control applied, still only one. Papadon loves to go low when he hits those ropes, really pop up, get a little extra snap, a little extra torque, drive that elbow right in. Over the years, Papadon has learned how to be so effective, make these techniques his own, find little ways to turn offense that everyone knows and make it be something you can't prepare for. Whereas Phil Brown will deck you, will just deck you. If Phil Brown gets his hands on you, that's it. That's all it takes. So the best defense is a good offense right now for Papadon. And this time, not just wrist control, hooking the leg, grabbing the arm. Papadon takes Phil Brown seriously. This is the closest Papadon comes to respect. Oftentimes he's looking past his opponent, he's disrespecting his opponent. With Phil Brown, there's none of that. There's none of the chicanery. There's none of the monologuing. There's none of the super villain-esque pontificating. It is business. Because somewhere deep down, Papadon knows just how good Phil Brown is. Knows that he could, I mean, to the extent that Papadon ever lets himself believe that he can lose to anyone, knows that Phil Brown is a danger. Runaway train jumped off the track and right onto a Greek god. Olympus is crumbling around Papadon. And Papadon landed right on his knees. Those joints are not made for that kind of impact. Clothesline almost beheading Papadon, who had the awareness to get his foot on the ropes. One thing that Papadon does as good as anyone, maybe the best, is use the architecture of the ring to his advantage. You saw that earlier, capturing his opponent in the ring apron and just there always knowing where the ropes are, jumping off of them. So thick and yet so graceful is Papadon. You look at him, you see a brute. You see someone who you assume would just be a power wrestler, and he is. He's very powerful. You're not gonna win a power game against Phil Brown, and so Papadon takes off from the ropes. That versatility has kept him in the game. I'll say, people don't make it through the first week of training. They don't make it through their first match, their first year, their first run-in with a shady promoter, the first time they get leveled, the first time they shower the blood off of them. It is a hard, hard business, and these two men have been doing it. They're the winners. These are two winners going at it in a match where only one can win at this point. And Phil Brown was patient. Phil Brown was ready, had it scouted, but unfortunately slow to crawl and only able to get that front foot. And it is yet again Papadon putting his foot on the rope, breaking the count and using that ring awareness. And it does take less energy and effort to use a rope break instead of a kick out. And Papadon keeps calling for that timeout. He's not gonna get it. It's a ruse, it's a habit, it's a psychological gesture, whatever it is. Papadon really wants to take a break. The only break he's gonna get is 3 seconds if he lays down. There ain't no chance in the world that he's going to. This draping DDT, low level, high angle, planting Phil Brown. That is a very good cover. Extended all across the body. And Papadon is going apoplectic. And the Achilles heel of Papadon is that he gets so worked up sometimes, throwing these tantrums, that he cannot focus on the opponent. When Papadon is focused, he is nigh invincible in the ring, but he just gets unhinged. And the longer he's been without a title, the more unhinged he gets. It makes him more dangerous, but it also makes him more vulnerable. And now looking for, Phil just knuckles right into the mat. And the referee just took a shot. The referee just took a stray. Papadon always aware, ready for the opportunity, and this is about to become, yet again, Papadon looking for the chair. But Urban Legend was beaten by that chair earlier and is now grabbing it right out of Papadon's hands. Telling Papadon, no way. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen whatsoever. A stare down between Urban Legend and, look behind you, Poppy. Or maybe don't. Live in this moment as long as you can, because you're about to go for a long ride off a short pier. Phil Brown with that Uranagi slam. The Platinum Icon just scored the win. It may be as simple as revenge. It may be as simple as one good turn deserves another. But after earlier today, Phil Brown coming out and helping Urban Legend. Urban Legend has returned the favor. Earlier today, Phil Brown offered Urban Legend the hand of friendship, of respect, maybe of mentorship, of partnership, and Urban Legend walked out. Has he rethought the offer? Is he walking in with simply revenge on his mind? Or is the most anti-social wrestler in VCW ready to finally say, I can do it better as a team? I'm not even sure that Phil Brown yet fully knows exactly what Legend did for him. Phil Brown is your winner, having defeated Papadon, and now, eye to eye, Brown inviting Legend into the ring. Looks like the hot Chioda is thinking about it. At least he'll hear Phil Brown out. This could be a formidable team. This could be a really formidable unit. Urban Legend has always been looking for respect here. This is Phil Brown showing Urban Legend that respect. There's been a hole inside of Urban Legend for a long time that all the violence in the world hasn't been able to fill. It looks like Urban Legend is saying that they're even, but nothing more. And the King of Sting will continue to walk the halls alone. This is maybe where this story ends. A big what if. Because that is a pretty definitive no from Urban Legend to Phil Brown. Phil Brown is your winner, defeating Papadon right here in VCW Primetime Pandemonium. Very few people have been on a hot streak like Tim Spriggs, the world's greatest grappler, and that is not an overstatement. a former Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, a former #1 in the world ranked Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. One of the best fighters in the world who has added professional wrestling to his regimen. And here in VCW, Tim Spriggs, to my knowledge, has lost one match. His debut against Logan, Easton, Laroux. A match, one has to add, that he didn't know he was having until that day. A late notice fill-in who came in to attend a training camp and was chosen because someone else did not attend. And that is the only time, unprepared and unready, that Tim Spriggs has ever been beaten here in VCW. He's defeated Isaiah Frazier, he's defeated DK Vandu. We've seen him in singles and tag team action, but since Logan, Joe Keys is likely the strongest, biggest, most difficult test for the Bushmaster. Joe Keys has spent his entire VCW career at the top of the card, a perennial contender. He's only gotten better, he's only gotten angrier. One of the single greatest grapplers in the world against a world-class professional wrestling. They say that styles makes fights. This is going to be a fight, and it is going to be either a clash or a mesh of styles. The ground game goes absolutely to Tim Spriggs, and Joe Keys holding onto that rope immediately for dear life. These two have spent time in the same dojo for pro wrestling. They know each other. When Tim Spriggs decided to transition from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to professional wrestling, another mountain to climb, another challenge to pursue. He went to the same school in Maryland that produced Joe Keys. And other wrestlers we've seen here in VCW, like Alex Devantes. That incredible bridge by Tim Spriggs. He gets better and more comfortable. When we first saw Tim Spriggs, he was new to pro wrestling. His personality hadn't fully emerged. I mean, this man, he is flashy, he is vibrant, he is verbose, he is the mush master. With every win, with every match, with every hold, Joe Keys coming in with a weak, clean pose, lumping in all martial arts together. Tim Spriggs will meet him where he lives, sure. Spriggs may practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he's familiar, he's comfortable with so many different kinds of martial arts, and Joe Keys trying to go for that single leg takedown. And Spriggs almost looked bemused, wrenching the arm of Joe Keys, swinging him around. And if this turns into a battle of strikes, that's where it's probably most even. Spriggs, an expert striker. Joe Keys has gotten into many a drunken bar brawl. And Joe Keys has no honor. Which may sound counterintuitive given his time spent training in the Ring of Honor dojo. His time spent being considered one of the members of the Future of Honor. Joe Keys has been pegged for years as a future star. And it is so gotten to him. Oh my goodness! The explosive power of Tim Spriggs. But it has scarred and rotted the soul of Joe Keys that he has been the victim of the curse of potential. Told that he would achieve greatness his whole life, and he has been an exceptional talent, and yet somehow has still not risen to the levels that he and others have expected of him. He gets it. Joe Keys talks about it a lot, the fact that he sees other people passing by up the ladder and he doesn't know why. He doesn't get it, and he does not want Tim Spriggs to be one of those people. Someone who started training at the same school as he did, as Tim Spriggs can absolutely sever the arm from the socket. And Tim Spriggs was going for a very quintessential pro wrestling move, a springboard back elbow, and that is where Joe Keys takes advantage, insisting the referee begin the count, and immediately taking a moment on the outside. He was being held back, and that hulking monster just rampaging towards Tim Spriggs and immediately slamming him into the steel steps, which is not a disqualification purely by technicality because the steps are considered part of the architecture of the ring, like the guard ring, like the steel posts, like the mat. It is a technicality, certainly not something that exists in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Spriggs landed very hard and is very far away. And now Joe Keys is gonna force the 10 count. This is that situational awareness, the cunning of Joe Keys. He knows he cannot out-grapple Tim Spriggs. There's no shame in that. There's not a single person in this building that could. But what he can do is out-strategize and use the relative inexperience in pro wrestling of Tim Spriggs against him. Rocking Tim Spriggs on his head. Joe Keys with a fantastic cover. Immediately launching into the referee, claiming a slow count. There's fear in the eyes of Joe Keys, and it's totally valid. I don't think that Joe Keys in his life thought he was gonna face a former Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu #1 ranked, former gold medalist. Sorry, black belt. Multi-time medalist. Like Tim Spriggs. You don't walk into a professional wrestling school expecting this kind of challenge. Joe Keys is here, he's gonna meet it, and he has gotten caught. And it is to Keys' credit that he was able to maintain that connection onto the ropes. Immediately dousing the fire of Tim Spriggs' comeback. Tim Spriggs has beaten so many people here. Under every other circumstance, you would say that Spriggs is the favorite in this one. He's proven it, now sweeping the leg. Cobra Kai style here in Virginia at ODU. Joe Keys just trucking Tim Spriggs. Some people say pro wrestling is an upper body business. Joe Keys is the man if pro wrestling is an upper body business. Now Tim Spriggs being given the opportunity to stand fully. The Bushmaster has no fear. The Bushmaster has no give. You do not become one of the greatest fighters in the world by backing down from a challenge. But Joe Keys is up. And if there is one thing that Joe Keys can do to win this match, the key to victory is the key to success. That is the move that Joe Keys, if he hits it, will end this match. He has perfected it. He is nigh unstoppable with it, and it does not matter if Tim Spriggs continues this onslaught. Now immediately, it almost looks like he's going to an anaconda vice. Tim Spriggs can beat you by pinfall. He can certainly knock you out, but he's most comfortable at this point with a submission. And now the Mushmaster calling his shot, stalking his prey, but that knee is not 100%. We saw him favoring it. It was earlier when he was jammed straight down onto the floor that one of those knees tweaked lightly out of place. But lightly out of place for a knee is very, very noticeable. Jokies has noticed it. And it looks like Spriggs is going to pick up that win with a cradle instead. Hooking underneath, looking for a heel kick. No, it's gonna be an ankle lock, and Jokies could tap. We have seen just how successful Tim Spriggs can be with these submissions. The positioning is perfect. Grabbing the arm instead, giving up the leg to try and keep Keys from getting to the ropes. And refusing to let go of the hold even on the outside. The hardest part of the ring is often referred to as the apron. It's not true. The hardest part of the ring is that steel post that the turnbuckles are attached to. They're load-bearing structures. They keep the entire thing together, and Tim Spriggs just went head and shoulder first into it. You can be an Olympic-level athlete, and if you get thrown into a steel post, it's gonna hurt you, and instead, it's a trap. And Tim Spriggs. That looked like Joe Keys was tapping. But the referee, while Joe Keys is tapping, he didn't see it. Which was it? Was it a pinfall or was it a submission? The referee did not see that Joe Keys was tapping. And in the confusion, thinking he had won, Joe Keys was able to pin Tim Spriggs with that high stack. And the red hot run of Tim Spriggs is taken down by Joe Keys. And it's not over. There's no need for this. And the keys to success. The keys to success. He didn't use it to win. He used strategy and cunning and some good fortune. But the exclamation point on that victory was that key to success that has dropped Tim Spriggs right on his head. And not only that, it hands Spriggs his very first loss in VCW since his debut. Joe Keys always finds a way, and today was no exception. Toxic masculinity is running wild here at Old Dominion University. Vandu making his way to the ring for this fatal four-way US Liberty title match. DK Vandu Cambodian-American, former NCAA tennis player. Known as the perfect son, he makes all parents jealous. He is the ideal youth in his mind. We have seen him in action over the last several months here at VCW, but this match tonight at Primetime Pandemonium is by far the biggest opportunity and the biggest challenge of his career. His most notable match here in VCW so far was against Tim Spriggs. In this one fall to a finish match, there is no champion's advantage, and maybe no one is coming into this match with more momentum and at the same time fresh than Breaux Keller, the all-energy Jockzilla from Cockeysville, Maryland, defeated Logan, Easton, Laroux earlier today at Matinee Mayhem. Logan Easton, of course, a former VCW heavyweight champion, and that is exactly the kind of win that rockets someone into title contention. Now, Breaux Keller is not the only member of this match to defeat Logan Easton Laroux today, but his victory came earlier this afternoon. He has time to rest. He has had time to prepare. This next entrant performed a similarly astounding feat. It has not been a great night for the former Virginia heavyweight champion Logan Easton Laroux. But Alex Devine, it was 90 minutes ago that he was in action. The only person in this match who will have wrestled 3 times in one day. So while he may be coming in with just as much momentum as Breaux Keller, his body is hurting. You see Alex Devine holding that lower back. Logan Easton Laroux brutalized the back to the extent that Alex Devine was unable to successfully perform some of his aerial assault offense, slipping on the ropes in a way that we've never seen before here at VCW. DK Vandu, the only member of this match who's wrestling his first match of the day. So he comes in the freshest. He comes in with the least wear and tear on his body this evening. And now making his way to the ring, the champion, the Haas of all Haasses, the new U.S. Liberty champion, accompanied by Neil Sharkey, the manager of champions, representing the Sharkey tank. It's not our first time seeing Devantes this evening. He has already been the difference maker in another match. His fellow Sharkey tank member, Saul Esparza, was going one-on-one with Dirty Money. And despite Saul Esparza putting up an incredible fight, showing depths of heart and resilience that maybe none of us knew he had, it was Dirty Money's to win until Sharkey and Devantes attacked Dirty Money, drawing the disqualification. Breaux staring down Devantes. We're going to go ahead and take it to our in-ring introductions for this very special and rare championship 4-way match.
The following contest is a no disqualification fatal 4-way matchup, and it is for the United States Liberty Championship. Introducing the challengers first, from Atlanta, Georgia, weighing at 210 pounds, DK Vandu. Next, from Cockeysville, Maryland, weighing at 194 pounds, he is all energy, Breaux Keller. Next, from high above the clouds of Baltimore, Maryland, weighing in at 160
No disqualifications in this match, which means two things. It's going to be wild. And also, it still favors the champion. There may not be a champion's advantage. Anyone can be pinned, and Devantes can lose that title, which does put him at risk. But no one is more suited in this match to take advantage of this format where there are no rules, anything goes, than Devantes. He heals Sharkey on the outside, providing advice and support. Sharkey will be free to potentially get more hands-on than he usually can. And in full view of the referee as this match is underway. The unique strategy required in the fatal four-way. These matches are so often about timing and ring awareness. They're not just wars of attritions. And Sharkey handing Devantes the title, which can be used as a weapon. No disqualifications. This isn't just preening and posturing. Super kicks in stereo by Keller and Divine, now both picking up that belt, which can be both metaphor and weapon, and handing it to the referee as these three now have taken the current champion out of the equation. It is a matter of timing though, as DK Vandu able to escape. Breaux Keller leapfrogs over. Keller and Divine both high flyers. Divine has more of an aerial offense, but Keller more of a track standout, particularly in the high jump. He has one of, if not the most impressive vertical leaps in all of professional wrestling, and has the size. So he's got the range, more experience than Alex Divine. Breaux Keller has been on the scene now for about 6 years. Has been a standout everywhere he goes, but particularly in the DMV capital region. And Keller tossing Divine, landing hard on DK Vandu, clutching his ankle. That could be a significant factor going forward here in this match. And Breaux Keller about to show off that leap! Defying gravity. His abilities are outlandish. Breaux Keller is a supreme physical specimen. And it's not even his leaping ability that is his greatest strength. It is his endless reserve of energy. He is a cardiovascular tank. You would think that he is on some sort of caffeine, taurine, energy drinks, any kind of substance. He's not. This is just Breaux. Naturally, one of the nicest people in the world, and yet one of the fiercest competitors in the squared circle. And so far, Breaux Keller has done a great job of winnowing the field, keeping himself in the center. And in the ring, the only place he can win this match. Alex Divine, faster than anyone else. That works if you don't get caught. Breaux Keller may be looking for gutter butter, that gut buster, but instead landing like a cat on his feet. And Alex Divine hooking Breaux Keller, lifting him up, going for a suplex. And it's that small of the back that Logan, Easton, Laroux had already targeted, that Breaux Keller clearly watching on the monitor and not afraid to take advantage. Devantes watching his championship potentially slip through his fingers, grabs Breaux Keller, pulls him to the side, maybe looking to take advantage of the spoils. All this is legal on the outside of the ring. And Devantes powerbombing Breaux Keller onto the apron. The entire ring is painful, but that joint is the most structurally sound part of the ring, and Devantes, moments away from retaining his championship. Breaux Keller still able to kick out. Now DK Vandu on the attack. That's the challenge of the four-way. Not only do you have to find time when your opponent in the ring is incapacitated, you need to find a time when the other two opponents are otherwise occupied, either with each other or on the ground. And Alex Divine, the heaven-sent kid, with a frog splash that was caught in midair by the Haas of all Haasses. The intensity of Devantes is unmatched. Kicking DK Vandu, that is that awareness. Making sure that Vandu cannot play a factor, potentially leapfrog, and the back still a factor for Alex Divine. Alex Divine has been doing such a great job of stringing together combinations and chains and holding on. Standing moonsault, that rotation right in midair. But Breaux, Keller, and Vandu both in. Vandu still struggling with that ankle. So it was Breaux, Keller who made it in to interrupt the count. Vandu is hurt. Not sure if he's injured. Moving very slowly, very gingerly, trying to balance on one leg as he kicks. Not as powerful as we know DK Vandu can be. Former NCAA tennis player, looking to show that he can be a multi-sport champion. A championship caliber athlete across so many different kinds of athletics. Shot blocking right now, and DK Vandu is in the driver's seat of this match. He has nullified Alex Divine, but Breaux Keller is still in the ring, and the question is Keller was a non-factor, despite being in the ring. And now Vandu looking to pin Keller while he's down. Perhaps if Vandu had gone after Keller first, really giving a referee a workout. You wondered, it takes a lot of athletic ability to be a referee. We're seeing right now it absolutely does. 2 counts all around. And DK Vandu has only one other option as Alex Divine enters like an angel of violence, the heaven-sent kid. The sensational Seraphim, Alex Divine. The youngest of all the competitors. Potentially the least experienced. Both DK Vandu and Alex Divine early on in their career, and Alex kicking our current champion. Maybe knocking him out of this match. Down to 2 fan favorites. Flipping up it every single time that Alex Divine lands. It looks like a different part of him is hurt. Breaux Keller looking for gutter butter, and he hits it dead center, but Divine uses his momentum to roll out of the ring, the only place that you are safe from being pinned. You cannot win outside the ring, but you cannot lose outside the ring either. You become a non-factor in the conversation. It only takes one shot from Devantes to end a match, and that spinebuster is among his best. And now DK Vandu with the single leg takedown. A more technical style. We're gonna see a submission, and we are. It is going to be from DK Vandu. That single leg crab applied, and now trying almost to step on the shoulder, wrenching that from the socket. As Sharkey trying to will Devantes towards him so he can grab and put Devantes' hand on that rope. But Breaux Keller has an idea, and the Breaux job to DK Vandu. Alex Divine with a mid-air spear. The level of precision that takes, the balance. And Saul Esparza who has been targeting Alex Divine all day, and it's not even illegal. This no disqualification match, the TKO. Alex trying to roll out of the ring just like he did with Breaux Keller, but Devantes catches him and gets him. Devantes was there for Saul Esparza earlier, and Saul Esparza returning the favor. Whatever else you might say about the Sharkey tank, they are a unified force. And Alex Divine has wrestled 3 times in one day. He's hurt, he's exhausted, and he's being hunted by a pack of sharks. We need someone to get out here. And Breaux Keller making the save. Breaux Keller honorably coming to the aid of Alex Devine. Devantes retains that title. Saul Esparza continues to prove to be the MVP of the Sharkey tank. And the odd man out of the situation is DK Vandu, who may have legitimately injured his ankle in that match. Devine and Keller stand tall, even in defeat. We may be looking to see tag team action between these two in the Sharkey tank in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for your main event of the evening. And it is for the Virginia Heavyweight Championship.
that saw Boar team Alex Devine and Dirty Money against Brandon Scott and the Sharkey Tank. The Sharkey Tank team were effective. They were a unit. They were quarterbacked by Brandon Scott. They were coached by Neil Sharkey. And unfortunately, Team Boar was a mess. Boar was not in a space to lead, to team. He let his obsession with Brandon Scott and his trying to get his hands on Scott completely overshadow the entire match. And you see this, Boar usually soaks in the cheers and just going straight to Brandon Scott. Some people are fueled by their anger. Some competitors channel that anger into intensity. They rule their emotions. That's not the case with the Boar. He is overcome and possibly very vulnerable. He is beloved here at VCW. He is idolized. He worked so hard to win this title as we now take it to the ring for our official main event introductions.
And his opponent, standing at 6 feet 4 inches tall, weighing in at 275 pounds, he is the VCW Virginia Heavyweight Champion, Laroux!
When there's this much at stake, when a main event is this prominent, when there's so much aggression in the air, VCW brings in the big guns to be officials. Legendary referee Mike Chioda, who has had a Hall of Fame level career, has been brought in to officiate this match. This is not no disqualification. The Boar will have to control himself as he is chasing Brandon Scott, who runs for dear life, but Brandon has been caught. Brandon is going to be punished, and Brandon is going to pay. Boar will have to remember that he cannot win the match here on the outside. He can only win the match on the inside, but he can certainly tenderize Brandon Scott. And there is a champion's advantage. If Boar just decides to beat the ever-loving heck out of Brandon Scott outside the ring for 10 straight seconds, he may not win, but he will retain the championship. What's more important to Boar right now? An official victory or rage? Brandon Scott looking to cut the Boar off. Boar prepared for it. Circling in, and this has been all Boar from the get. Brandon Scott was trying to enrage Boar in order to cause him to make a mistake. That certainly worked in the tag team match earlier. But one-on-one, where there's nowhere else to go, nowhere to run, and nowhere to hide, as Brandon Scott made a huge mistake. Punches right to the temple by the Boar. The entire Old Dominion University campus counting along in chorus as Brandon Scott barely on his feet. Is he gonna drop? Is he gonna fall? And Boar with the side swipe right to his head. Stalking his prey. Brandon's got a moving animal. Finally, Scott turning the tide on Boar for a moment, and a moment only. Huge fall-away slam. This is what happened. You enrage and awaken the beast. One on Brandon Scott. But Scott is hurt and in danger very early in this match. This has been a complete blitz by Boar. The longer this match goes, it does favor Brandon Scott. Purely by his size, he takes less oxygen to achieve his offensive maneuvers. And the Boar hooking Brandon Scott up. Pearl River plunge by the Boar, center of the ring. In order to defend this title, the Boar is busting out new offense. He is bringing things to the table we have never seen before. And the crowd just chanting, Boar. They want to see the gore. They want to see the Baconator, the choke slam. They want to see Brandon Scott get his just desserts. They want Brandon Scott to get shut up for a moment. He has called himself the greatest heavyweight champion in Virginia history for so long. We're tired of hearing it. But Brandon Scott does have so much to prove in the lung blower. Those knees connected right to the head and neck of the Boar. He may be out. having to adjust, and Scott has bought himself some time. This is the moment. After that Bow River plunge, was Brandon Scott vulnerable? Could Boar have simply done one or two more maneuvers right there in the center of the ring to end Brandon Scott right there? And did he decide, no, I need to put on the extra punishment? He was going for a second rope choke slam, exclamation point. Would a period have been enough? Because now all is left is a question mark. What happens next? Can Brandon Scott turn the tide? Of course, Brandon can. Will he? Remains to be seen, but Brandon is a former VCW heavyweight champion. He has been working hard to get back into title contention. He has felt overlooked. The Boar will not give up. The Boar may be beaten, but it is very unlikely that the Boar will ever say the words, "I quit." It is very unlikely that that hand will hit the mat 3 times. Brandon Scott is doing a fantastic job of wearing down the bigger man and speaking to Mike Chioda in a way completely unbefitting a main event talent or a future champion. The fist drop, Boar kicks out, and Brandon Scott may have the talent of a champion, but certainly not the temperament. Now raking the eyes. A masked wrestler has to get used to visibility impairments. They have to get used to breathing through fabric. There are certain fundamental disadvantages you have to compensate with when you were wearing a mask. Brandon Scott is so aware of that now, dumping the Boar and taking a moment to rest. Brandon Scott cannot survive a countdown. He will not win the title. The title will not change hands on a countdown. So this is not an attempted victory. This is an opportunity to reset, to target. Thought that Brandon Scott might rest, but instead, launching himself with that sliding baseball-style dropkick right to the face of the Boar. Taking a moment to get in the face of our fans, and that may have been a strategic error. Brandon Scott has been so good about goading Boar into making mistakes, but he is not immune from letting these fans get under his skin as well, sliding in to break up that count. As the challenger, Brandon has to be so aware at all times of the referee's count. If he gets too caught up in the moment, too heated, takes too much time, he can get counted out, and this will not end with a title change. Brandon Scott, all that effort simply to poke the eyes, and now forcing the Boar back into the ring. The maximum gain for the minimum effort has been the story of the last several years of Brandon Scott's career. Can't blame him for it. Expend less energy, make your opponent do the work for you, reap the benefits. And the benefits are high. You are champion. When you are champion, you make more money. You are given opportunities to speak. You are given opportunities to represent this company in the community, to do media, to build your personal brand. There are financial and other incentives in addition to the personal pride. And now, Brandon Scott tearing not only at the eyes, but the mask. While not a luchador from Mexico, the Boar believes so strongly and passionately in the culture of being a masked wrestler. That mask is his identity, that mask is his face, and the choke slam was reversed, I believe, by Brandon Scott into the DDT. Ever since avoiding that choke slam from the second rope, Brandon Scott, while he has taken hits here and taken hits there, he has not been invulnerable. He has managed to stay away from significant offense. He is out strategizing, and dare I say, currently out wrestling the Boar. High risk, we see Brandon Scott do this every so often. Big elbow drop, too much time. Boar able to roll out of the way. Both men down. The advantage to whoever reaches a vertical base first. Each have taken punishment. Brandon early on. Brandon to his feet first, with Boar letting the ropes assist him. And now a flurry of clotheslines from those ham-hock-like arms. The Boar believes that pro wrestling should be the world of the big men, the heavyweights, the super heavyweights. And a huge sidewalk slam with an extra spin to disorient Brandon Scott. And while it only got two, that was not just for flourish. Those extra spins caused Brandon Scott to get dizzy, to maybe get seasick. So much of Scott's offense relies on his balance. You mess with his inner ear, you mess with his equilibrium, you are decimating his potential keys to victory. And finally, the third time, may the third time be the charm? No. Brandon Scott clearly made a promise to the mirror earlier today. I'm not gonna get chokeslammed. That did not take into account the Baconator, and the Baconator for two. We've seen the Pro River Plunge. We've seen the Baconator. What else is in the arsenal of the Boar? We know that gore. We've seen him take down Brian Brock. We've seen him take down Logan, Easton, Laroux. This is the second defense of the Virginia Heavyweight Championship by Boar, his first title in his career. And Brandon Scott's feet are on the ropes. Brandon Scott's feet were on the ropes. And Mike Chioda, showing what a professional he is, his ability to have his eyes in two places. Mike Chioda stopped the count and said, heck no. Brandon Scott is so used to having people just listen to him or look the other way. And the cutter delivered center of the ring. Are we going to see a new champion? Brandon Scott is shocked. The board is very tough. It takes so much, especially because this is his first title. The Boar has worked so hard and so long to become a champion in pro wrestling. And the fact that this was the territory, that this was the promotion that put him in a position to succeed. And now Brandon Scott pushing our camera person out of the way, bringing a chair to the ring. And it looks like bait. It looks like a lure because one chair is distracting Mike Chioda while Brandon Scott slides in with another. But Mike Chioda, he's a Hall of Famer in the future for a reason. He has had an upper echelon referee career. And Boar has brought Brandon Scott into the ring via the chair. Now Boar. Don't do it, Boar. Don't do it. The anger beat Brandon Scott. If he were to hit Brandon Scott, he would not lose the title. But Mike Chioda knows that. No, low blow! He kept having an answer, and Brandon Scott is about to steal the title. Holy moly! An eyelash away from becoming VCW champion. The crowd is desperate for Boar to get to his feet. He is vulnerable right now. The Boar is in pain. And Mike Chioda and Brandon Scott having words. Brandon Scott not taking advantage of the moment. He did all the work to get those illicit gains, and instead getting caught up in confrontation with Mike Chioda instead of his opponent. Brandon Scott, and no! The Boar went for the gore. No one was present. And the shoulder of the Boar went straight into that steel pole. At the very least, contusions and bruises are going to form. But you can't get a choke slam if your shoulder is separated from the socket. And blockbuster! Blockbuster from the top rope. Brandon Scott bringing out all the stops, and we have only two. Despite the injury to the shoulder, Boar able to get that shoulder up. What tenacity we are seeing from our VCW champion. As Brandon Scott is losing his mind and his focus. He's yelling at the crowd. He's yelling at Mike Chioda. He's yelling at everyone except the only one who can do something about the situation, which is himself. Focus on the things you can change. And Brandon Scott continues to be obsessed with this chair. Mike Chioda yet again taking it out of his hand, and Brandon now circling around, and Brandon Scott has the belt, and Mike Chioda sees it. Big boot applied, going for it again. Gore, 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 center of the ring, and the Boar retains. Brandon Scott thought he had one over on the Boar and Mike Chioda over and over again, whether it was feet on the ropes, whether it was bringing a chair to the ring, a low blow, the belt, everything he could do to get an unfair advantage. But it was the officiating of Mike Chioda and the raw power and heart of the Boar that has led to a second successful title defense. He is a man with only one working arm, but you can put on a belt with one arm and a little bit of help. The Big Boar, Pork Chop Mahomes, the quarterback of VCW and Toxic Vascularity, Joe Keys, has entered the chat. Joe Keys said he wanted a title shot coming up in the Liberty Lottery. And Joe Keys just absolutely decimating the Boar. Battering him. Grabbing him by the mask. The Boar just wrestled Brandon Scott, and Boar able to lift Joe Keys up. If Boar thought there was going to be a long line for his title, someone clearly just came right to the top. And Joe Keys swatted Boar into that turnbuckle, and now, oh no, we saw that earlier, tease to success. Joe Keys defeated Tim Spriggs earlier. And now Joe Keys doing exactly what Brandon Scott did to so irate the Boar, wearing that title as though he's earned it. He has not. And standing tall over the prone champion at the Liberty Lottery, it is certain to be Joe Keys against the Boar for the VCW Heavyweight Champion. Thank you so much for joining us for Primetime Pandemonium at Old Dominion University. We're so thankful to have been here. We're sorry it had to end this way. We're looking forward to Liberty Lottery. I'm Jason Heat. Thank you for watching Virginia Championship Wrestling.